Thanks, Andrew. Well, we're really excited about getting camp started. Obviously, it's been, a long time to go through a season for us, and so there's a lot of excitement with our players. And I really have a lot of appreciation for what our players have been through over the last, since 2019, really, missing the whole 2020 season. So this group of young men that chose to stay here and weather that storm really deserve a lot of appreciation from people here in Las Cruces and our university, because they could have left and gone to other places to play when you're missing the whole season. But these guys have a lot of integrity about them. They've got a lot of class about them. They're very dedicated to each other. Same with the coaching staff and what they've been able to do with having the season off and still recruit the way we recruited and to get players in here was remarkable. So it's really something unprecedented in college football. I think us and Connecticut are the only two teams, FBS teams, that didn't play a season in 2020. So to be able to do what our staff has done and assemble a team and put things together again and hold things together really deserves a lot of appreciation from the administration here at this university and a lot of people. I'm very proud of what our staff has done. And again, very proud of these players that have stuck with us too. So we've got a tremendous challenge ahead of us. We were off the football field for over 400 days, and people think we just missed the games. We didn't just miss the games. We didn't even get to practice for over 400 days. So this has been a huge blow to our program and something we're trying to overcome, and it's going to take a tremendous effort from all of us, but we're excited about it. We think we've got the right players, and that's more important than having the most talented, is having the right players. And I think our guys have the right character. So we're really excited about what we have here and can't wait to get started.
Questions for Coach? Andy, can I clip this up there? Yes.
Yeah, I have that. So your opening game is against UTEP. How does it, usually the games are a little bit later in the middle or the end of the season. Is there any change that it's the first one, the big rivalry, or are you more excited because it's the first one?
I kind of like having that game early. I think it does create a lot of excitement for our players, especially. That's a rivalry. They're 30 miles down the road. We've been very successful in that rivalry the last couple of years. So it gives our players something to point to the entire summer. They know that game is going to be really well attended. There's going to be a lot of fans there. So it's a good way to start the season.
How excited are they to start a training camp and with the prospect of games just right after UTEP and all that afterwards?
Yeah, again, right. No, again, I think our players are extremely excited about getting to play football games again. We played 2 games in the spring. They really were more scrimmages for us, trying to get everybody back acclimated to playing again. So this will really be the first games we've had since 2019. So yeah, our players are really excited about that.
You mentioned the timeline that you guys have been off and then the spring. How would you compare where you're at now after everything that you've been through to normal fall camp? Are you still way behind, or are you going to be able to catch up after the fall camp, or are you still the whole year behind?
Well, I think probably a lot of that remains to be seen. We've had to overcome a lot. Like we said, the reason we played the 2 games in the spring was to get more practices. If we didn't play the games, then we would only get 15 practices, and that was not going to be enough to have us catch up to everybody else. So we played the games. So I think we ended up getting 34, 35 practices in plus the 2 games. So that really hopefully put us back in position. I know the first game we definitely were not ready, and that was to be expected. But the second game we played a lot better, and I thought our players responded really well. They've had a great summer. But again, it's I don't know how to answer that question until we play, because it's unprecedented what we've had to overcome and go through here.
Coach Martin, you said that you and Connecticut teams that had not played a season. What were some of the unique things that you guys did to make sure that you were ready to go now to this point, and what are some of the things that might have helped out with conditioning-wise with players?
Yeah, well, I think Coach Decker and his staff did a great job as far as the conditioning. That was the one thing that we were able to maintain and keep doing during all that time. So strength and conditioning progressed, and it did give our young players time to develop in the weight room more than what probably they would have if they were having to play a season also. So in that vein, it would probably helped us a little bit. But all of our meetings had to be on Zoom, which, as we all know from the education problems too with Zoom. It's not as good as being in person. But we just maintained that as best we could. Again, I would salute our staff. I think they did a great job of keeping the young men engaged, keeping our players engaged, staying in touch with them. Our players did a great job. So it was just a unique time for everybody, though.
Where's Weston at, I guess, health-wise entering fall camp, and then also, what are you kind of expecting from that,
You know,
that deal with the quarterback battle?
Yeah, Weston is completely cleared. He's ready to go tomorrow, full speed in practice, and has been for the last couple of weeks. So he's been running and doing all the conditioning things, strength and conditioning this summer. Every position is an open battle here. Nobody has a job. So, starting quarterback to starting kicker, it doesn't matter. You've got to come and compete in this camp and win your job every day. And so our players know that and expect that.
Coach, do you like the weapons you have on the outside this year?
Offensively, talking about, and yeah, I really do. Congratulations on the wedding, by the way.
Thank you.
Huh? She's still with you?
She still is.
Nice. All right. So yeah, I really like our offensive football team. I think we have, 2017 we were obviously a really good offensive unit. I think talent-wise we're at least as good as that, and maybe better in some areas. But we still got to go play. So we have athleticism, we have speed. I really like our skill guys. I really like us up front more than what I did in 2017. We have Sage back, who's going to be a draft pick, and getting Eli Johnson in here at center. Played 12 games at Ole Miss as a starter, and so he really makes a big difference for us. So, I think we can be pretty good offensively.
Omari's obviously, it feels like Omari's been here for 3 or 4 years and hasn't been able to play a game for all the circumstances. But how excited are you to finally see him on the field, and what do you feel like he's going to be able to produce for you?
Yeah, Omari brings some unique things in that he has power and speed. Usually those running backs are one or the other. He really does have both. I mean, he can really run downhill, but he has the speed to get around the corner also. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the things we've seen from him in practice. Have been really positive. Obviously there's a reason he went to Michigan out of high school. He can really play. We held him out of the games obviously last spring because he had a little bit of a groin injury, but he's completely cured up from that and healed and ready to go. So as long as he stays healthy, he should have a great year.
You mentioned Eli Johnson. It's an underrated position at center. But what's he brought to the table so far, and how good has he been both in the locker room and also on the field?
Yeah, I think even more than the physical part of things with Eli is the maturity and the experience of playing in the SEC and starting in the SEC. I think he brings a level of confidence to our other players. They just feel comfortable with him. He's kind of like having a coach on the field. He's played so much. He's really unique and good at making calls, identifying defenses. I think the biggest thing is the confidence that our players have in him.
What's a position battle in camp that you would be that we should know about, that you would be excited, that you're watching you're particularly interested in on both sides of the ball?
Well, I think defensively, our emphasis is really the back end, the secondary. We've got some unanswered questions back there right now. There'll be a lot of competition back there. We've got some new players that just joined us, junior college guys. We have some guys that were able to practice in the spring, but they weren't able to play in the game because they were transfers, and that was the NCAA rule that they couldn't play in games. So really the entire secondary is one that's going to be unique to watch.
Coach, you described the right player. What's the right player for this program?
I think it goes back to here at New Mexico State, it's really unique. You have to understand that we're not going to have some of the resources that other people have. So you got to play with a little chip on your shoulder here. You got to have a little edge to you to coach and play here. There's got to be a toughness element to you about playing here. It's not going to be, you're not going to get spoiled with facilities and money and all those type of things that run rampant through college football right now. This is more, in my opinion, the pure essence of what college football is supposed to be about here. And it's supposed to be about team, and it's supposed to be about your university and representing your university in your city. And I think places like this, especially as we move forward with the new rules in college football, places like this are going to become fewer and fewer. So yeah, I think we have something unique to offer in that vein. But it takes a different type of kid to play here. Not everybody can do it. And when you see kids leave here, that's why. They can't handle what has to be done here.
Coach, talk about the new rules this year and what you're looking forward to and seem like some advantages, especially with special teams and overtimes.
Yeah, I mean, the overtime rule in particular is going to be interesting. You know, I think college football has had a really exciting overtime rule. You know, when you look at the games that have gone into overtime in the past, and those have been exciting ways to finish games. I understand that some of them that keep going and going and going, you do get to a point where you're risking injury for players, and that's why they tweaked the rules a little bit this year to shorten those. But I still think it's a pretty good overtime rule as far as that goes. It'll be interesting. But you know, other than that, we're just playing ball.
The two things that have been kind of, you know, media days for all other conferences that have been brought up are the NIL and, you know, COVID vaccination. I was wondering if you've had a chance to address either of those things with your team and like what the response has been.
Yeah, the NIL thing, obviously that's going to be a huge change for all of college football. In recruiting, that's going to be a change. The transfer rules are going to be a big change. I think what you're going to see, and I don't, you know, who knows where it's unprecedented, so nobody knows where all this is going to go. But I think what you're going to see is there's going to be less and less building of programs, and now you're really just trying to build a team, because you're going to have players that are going to transfer every year and leave. You're going to have NIL. People are going to want to negotiate how much money they're getting, and if they're not getting what they want, they're going to leave, or other teams are going to recruit them away from you that can give them more money, all those type of things. So I think those days of coming in someplace and building a program, they've pretty much eliminated with that rule. I think it's roster management, and it's what do you have this year, and it's going to be from year to year that you're trying to assemble a team. So again, I was listening to Coach Saban talk at the SEC meeting today. He was saying the same thing. I don't know. Nobody knows where this is going to go and how it's going to work. I can tell you that, you know, in college football, the rules have always been made to, as best we could, keep everybody on an even playing field. You know, we all had 85 scholarships. We all could offer the same scholarship. We all had the same amount of coaches. We all had equal everything, right? That's not the case anymore. It's going to be an uneven playing field now, and it's going to go to the haves, and have-nots are going to struggle even more. Obviously, we can't pay players here like, you know, other schools are going to, and that's a problem. And, you know, Vanderbilt can't pay players like Alabama can, so they're going to be at a huge disadvantage in their conference. You know, right on down the line, you know, you can look at that. So it's that part of it is going to be a lot different. As far as the COVID thing, you know, we just try to educate the players as best we can. Those medical decisions as far as vaccination or not vaccination, that's made between a young man, his family, and their doctor. And that's about all I would say about that. You know, we're just trying to manage it as best we can. We understand that, you know, contact tracing is still going to be an issue for people that are not vaccinated. So you really have to look at managing your team, and, you know, how you sit players in meetings is important, because you want to make sure you're not getting contact traced if somebody has a positive test. How you travel is going to become important, where they sit on the plane, who they're rooming with, you know, all those type of things are still going to have to be dealt with. And, you know, it seems to still change day to day. I mean, you look today, when the rules are different with masks than they were 2 days ago. So it's just something that's going to be in constant flux. And I think, you know, you just don't get consumed by it. Just understand it's going to be that way, and you just have to deal with it.
So just to be, just a quick follow-up, unvaccinated people are still being tested here, Coach, or is that true or no?
That's questions you guys need to ask the trainers and
Right.
things like that, you know, medical people.
I guess we could ask the trainer, but do you have an idea of how many percentage of your team's vaccinated?
You know, again, that information you guys have to get from the trainers. I'm not giving out medical information.
We'll take one more for Coach.
Coach, what's the difference concrete between Weston and Gianna at the quarterback position? Obviously, they're going to be going through a little bit of a quarterback battle, but What does each quarterback bring to the table? What are the concrete differences?
Well, I think some of that remains to be seen. You know, neither one of them have played in a real game yet, so you know we need to see. I know Jonah does bring a little bit more ability to run. You know, in the running game, he becomes a weapon there a little bit. You know, Weston can run; he can do some things, but Jonah probably is a little bit better in that area. They both have really accurate arms. They both got really strong arms. I think the biggest thing is both of them give us something at the quarterback position that we haven't had since 2017, and that's ability to throw the deep ball. We've really been limited as far as stretching the field vertically the last couple of years, and that's really hamstrung our offense somewhat. And to have that ability back really helps us, I think, in a lot of ways. You know, it helps our defense because you know now they get to practice against that. And one of the reasons we might have struggled against deep balls defensively is because they didn't see enough of it in practice. Well, now they do. And so, you know, there's some really unique things like that that are nuances that people don't think about. But both those guys give us that ability. So, you know, I would expect, you know, both those guys are going to have to play for us this year. Both of them are going to have to win games for us this year. You never know when somebody's going to be knocked out by COVID. You know, one of them could get knocked out by COVID and the other one's got to come in and win a game, or one of them could roll an ankle and somebody's got to come in and win a game for us. And, you know, and that actually already happened, you know, against Dixie State. You know, Weston came in and gave us a real spark. He got hurt. Jonah came back in and played really well and you know, won the game for us down the stretch. So that's how we're going to have to play. We've got to play as a total team.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Coach will be available